Good evening.
Good evening.
This is the Gotham City crew. As you already know, I'll introduce myself again. I'm CJ, aka King Solomon Jr. On the line, we have SD, Grown Man, and Mrs. Sutton.
Hello.
Now, before we get into this any further, I said I had a surprise for a specific group of individual. That'd be SD and Grown Man. Neither of which is aware that I'm about to make this statement. But again, we as black folks, we got to stop this. When I'm on, I'm the only one that needs to be on. Me and my foe. That's getting ready to die today. If you can't tell, I'm in a very tremendous mood today. But before I get into it, I would like to let everybody know that coming soon, once all of our schedules stop being so crazy, my big brother, Grown Man himself, will have his own show, which will be produced by his younger brother, that being me. Once we set everything up, he's still going to be a part of this. But again, when I eat steak, I want my whole crew to eat steak. And because him and SD have helped me down from the beginning. They helped me outgrow my suicidal thoughts, my states of depression, and I can honestly say, without God first, Mrs. Sutton, SD, and Grown Man, I don't think I would be where I am. They, whenever I call them, they come. And if they can't come, they hear from my emotional support. And to that, I can't express enough. I love you guys, all three of you, so very much. And I could not imagine my life without you.
Oh, love you too, and the feeling is quite mutual.
Amen, amen. You know I love you, big head.
I know. Now, with that being said, Miss Sutton.
All right. So, After Effects. We are going to jump this topic off that is really near and dear to my heart. And this topic deals with family dynamics. Now, when we define family, the typical definition of family is those who share your blood, lineage, and DNA. However, as life has taught us, blood doesn't make you family. Connection does.
Mm-hmm. I can agree to that.
I can truly say that I have had connections and moral support from people who do not share my DNA sometimes than I've had with my own family.
Okay.
So, here's the scenario. As we all are aware, as the After Effects crew has heard, everyone knows that there is an elder in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
This elder, as many people know, is kicking 100.
In the mouth.
With that being said, the family in city is very small.
Yep.
But there are extended family members that live out of state. With that being said, As graduation approaches for Mr. CJ, the one thing that he asked was that he would love to go to Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
Okay.
We began to make plans for that, but the elder family member has also stated that she would like to see the rest of the extended family. So we've been trying for months to put all of this together. Everything has gone haywire.
But before you continue, let's start at the one specific part where I have to address this. This woman is kicking 97 in the butt. I mean, 100 in the butt, because she is 97. 3 years away from being 100. And all she wants is oatmeal, raisins, and bacon every day.
And chicken.
And barbecue chicken and ribs for dinner. You know,
Is that
cookie.
the secret?
Huh? Yeah.
Is that the secret?
Yeah, you know, cookies, cakes, and pies, and and Lord, she can kill a bucket of ice cream.
Cakes and pies.
Yeah, she can kill a bucket of vanilla ice cream by herself. I watched her do it.
Okay.
She asked to see these folks. So the original plan was to take her up to Atlanta. Due to my inadvertence to listen to a full-scale conversation, I was unaware that there were going to be several flights of stairs that will have to be climbed to get to one particular residence. May I say, I don't have a problem with a first or a second floor. But however, let's revert back. This woman is 97 years old. I'm fresh off of COVID and pneumonia. You got 2 people with respiratory issues. You want them to, and anybody that knows that apartment buildings, condominium buildings that do not have elevators or lobbies, their stairs are outside, typically carries for one flight of stairs at least 12 steps. One way. Forget to turn around and go up another 12 steps. Now, in conclusive, you say if she can't do it, you want her to be carried up. I put her on the phone and let her answer the questions herself. She said she ain't doing it. So now everybody is up in an uproar. And they upset, changing plans. Here's my stint. And maybe it's my place not to, and maybe it's my place to. The one thing Mrs. Sutton knows about me is that I do not care for gender roles. I despise it. It makes me sick. Because if you read your Bible, as the wife submits to the husband, there's a B clause to that. I'm supposed to do the exact same thing for her as she's willing to do for me.
Okay.
I need for folks to understand that. Because if she's willing to do all this stuff, if she at work and I got the day off, why is she coming home to a nasty house and no cooked dinner? If she can do it for me, I sure as well can do it for her. But this point, I'm going to put my king hat on. I'm going to put the head of the household on. And I don't never really do this, but I'm going to do it here. I've been in this family for 3 years. For 3 years, y'all love and appreciation couldn't get you on the flight to bring your behind to see this woman. Let me make this clear. While I understand that bridges have been burnt, nuked, and blown up, based on the information that I know for a fact and have read, there's only 2 members of this family that should have any inkling or any problem or any rhyme or reason to hold grudges. And because I personally know both of them, I'm married to one, and the other one is a knucklehead that's my sister. Everybody else can shut up. The second thing I'm getting to this evening. You heard before that I told you me and my dad have rekindled our relationship.
Ooh, Jesus. Are you really going there, Mr. Satan?
I told you I'm a little ticked off this evening. Unbeknownst to me, and I'm calling him out.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Okay. This is what I need people to understand. And after we make this grown man SD, y'all gonna have to chime in on this family dynamics. Now, I have to tell people this all the time. There is 3 sides to a story.
Yes,
there is your side. There is the other person's side. And in the middle of that, somewhere is the truth.
All right, the Cutlers from Couples Court. Come on.
Now, for years, this individual has walked around with a large chip on their shoulder because their mind said they had been abandoned. Well, when the eldest member sat down with the father, the eldest, after I had to intervene and tell both of them to get their chips off their shoulders and actually talk, the eldest member found out that a lot of things that he was being told was a lie. And that he felt, going back to kind of one of our previous episodes, Black Men versus Black Women 2, where the statement was made, there are some men who walk away because the female party likes to play hang children over your head, or they get into another relationship and that person don't want their significant other having contact with their past.
Case in point.
So therefore, this individual gets on a public platform and comes out their mouth and says they wouldn't care if their biological father died tomorrow, or if he saw him on the street, he wouldn't even help him because he abandoned him. He don't want nothing to do with him, and now it's too late to rekindle that chapter.
Now, before you continue, and this is what really been setting me off, because I've been angry about this for the past 24 hours, and I've been asking God to help me not to have any anger or animosity to your twin SD, my baby brother, because y'all share the same birthday. Baby boy, when you find my podcast, please listen up because I'm directing this straight to you. You know my voice and you know who I am. While I get 100% that you appreciate what our bonus dad done for both of us, please don't neglect the fact that you have to do it at the expense of tearing down another man.
Yeah.
A black man should not tear down another man.
Especially when you don't know his story.
Because it was done back in slavery days, and that's what continues to happen to this very day. And I'm sick and tired of it, and I had to bring this to light. Baby boy, listen to me. Number one, did you forget while he did raise us to be the men we are, did you forget that tremendous toxicness that we grew up in that house? Did you forget me having hot water thrown on me? Did you forget the fights between us and his children? Did you forget the numerous calls to our biological father's job that almost cost him his construction job when he was building hotels because we wasn't getting along? Did you forget how you and him got into a fight on 131st? Did you forget how y'all pulled guns on each other? Did you forget how his daughter called up with the man of the month talking about what they gonna do to both of them? Did you forget? While you on your platform talking about you wouldn't care if the man lived or died, baby boy, you were shielded from a lot. I took on the barrel blunt of all of it so you wouldn't have to. And then I tried to tell him how good you're doing, and it looks like I spit in his face. Because contrary to belief, that house was not all hunky-dory like you painted it on your platform. That house was a house of hell for me. And I'm finally at a place where I can discuss this. Baby boy, as much as I love what our bonus dad did to us, he sent me into a state of depression to the point I tried to commit suicide on many different levels. You know, Mom told you when you came off the road one time that I was going to use your gun to blow my head off. Did you forget that? Tell me you haven't forgot that. Why I get you're so angry, you need to sit and talk to him. Because that man was placed in a position, and I knew he wasn't lying, where he either had to continue to come around or back off because of how that man is. Did you forget her first birthday party after she had that major surgery, after she had that heart attack surgery and had to have a triple bypass? How I showed up at her birthday party and I was standing in front of her telling her what's been going on in a household and how he threatened to shoot me because I was standing in front of my mama, his wife? Did you forget that? Come on, you are not that stupid. This ain't about tearing him down. Everybody has right and wrong in them. I'm just telling you, you can glorify another black man without destroying another.
Yes, Lord.
That is true.
Yes. Mm.
You ain't got to do that. And I'm praying, bro, that you get it right before it's too late. Because of what our bonus dad put me through, bro, I hated that house. And I had some distinct against mom because she worked second shift. And it was almost like she didn't care what was happening. All the fights, all the emotional trauma. I should have never been put to the brink, yes, as a black man, that I would even consider suicide. But I was. I'm working on me now. I'm getting ready to start therapy because I got to get that hate out of me. But you don't mind calling me up talking about how I abandoned the family. That's because I had disdain for the house I grew up in. I would have rather you put me in adoption, child services, than to grow up in that residence. Oh, he looked like the happy Christian family on the outside, but inside it was everything but God.
Ooh-wee.
Did you forget that? Look at you now, man. You on a public platform. In one segment, you talk about God loves you. Jesus will save you. He will protect you and answer your prayers. And the same side, you got a two-edged sword coming out your mouth talking about how this nigga ain't SHIT. That's what you doing?
Well, you have to understand. You have to understand that they don't understand themselves. A good portion of church people don't understand themselves. And I said what I said.
And that's the whole thing. I think this kind of carries over into, glorifying the toxicity. Yes, there are real men out here. And I'll say it again. There are real men out here who step up when they don't have to.
Exactly.
In the same token, again, everybody has their story. You are talking to a child who knew their father, but my father wasn't around. When my mother passed, my father sat at the table with me and asked me, did I want to come live with him? Now, here's the thing. By law, by right, he did not have to ask. He could have simply just said, you're my daughter. Now that this has happened, you're coming to live with me. But the man had enough respect knowing that for 11 years, he hadn't really been there to ask me. And my exact words to him at my mother's repast was, Daddy, no, because I really don't know you, and I know that your wife don't like me. Here's the crazy part. Years later, I found out the same woman that I said didn't like me was looking for me. She drove a bus, and she would defer from her route around the area of my last known address to try to find me, because she was trying to locate me so that I could come live with them. She spent years looking for me.
And one thing I can say about my dad's current wife, because I was in the place where my brother was, because I didn't have the whole story. Man, that lady is awesome. Because when I was taking cheap shots at my sister, she said, listen. She said, all of y'all are kids. She said, y'all need to have a conversation. And she told me this on the phone. She told me, she said, all the hatred that was in you. She said, I knew for a fact something was awry. She said, I could have been there when you came to meet him. She said, but that was a conversation that you and him needed to have. And he told me, he said, the hardest thing I ever had to do was walk away. He said, because my first impression of him, I had to make two choices. Either stay and deal with his jealousy and bullcrap, or leave.
Hoping that y'all would get it together.
Hoping that y'all would jail and get the situation together. And I said, well, how did that turn out? He said, I had two sons that grew up thinking that I hated them. One is sitting at my kitchen table, and the other one don't want to have nothing to do with me.
And that's a powerful piece, because it wasn't until I was 19, 20 years old that I began to get the story. My father wasn't in no position to take me. And when he became a part of my life, I'm not gonna lie, I spent the first year giving that man hell. And it was my sister who said, listen, either you gonna give him a chance or you not. Stop dangling him. Stop going back and forth. And for almost 20 years, that man has been consistent. I had to accept him. He had to accept me. I am the only child that he walked down the aisle, whose wedding he was at attendance and in. That's my dad. I can't go back and change what happened all those years ago. All we could do is start from where we are. And I think the hurt and the pain, especially when you're only being fed one side of a story.
Yeah.
It's easy for this family dynamic to be created like you're unwanted or you're not cared for or whatever the case may be. And the truth is that's not always the case. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at all these different family dynamics. There's an elder who just wants to see her family. And of course, my husband and I are going to make that happen, because we're not going to have no regrets. But I can say on the other end, we shouldn't have to, because all the love,
not at all.
Exactly, all the love and support, folks should be willing, because to live with, it's always, oh, well, I got this to do, I got that to do. Okay, let's just be transparent for a moment. Did anybody stop and think what I had to do?
And let me say this, because I went through this, and this is getting ready to blow a lot of people's minds. I talked with a family member yesterday, really, before I came to my decision after receiving. My dad called me and told me about that stupid video that my brother had posted. I asked her, how far down the line is my wife from in the generational spectrum from the elder spokesperson? My wife is literally the 7th generation down the line
And the only one for my generation.
And the only, yeah, I ain't even got to that. The only person for your generation, but you're number 7. But yet, generations 2, generations 3, generations 4, 5, and 6. Now, one of the members in generation 6 does do some things, but the bulk of it is on the baby, the left alone, the last outlaw. Grown man, SD, it's on y'all, man.
Wow, I'm really, my head is spinning right now. My head is literally spinning right now, because I'm really trying to take in everything that I just heard. And all I can say is just unbelievable. But I always say blood doesn't make you family. It makes you relate, but it doesn't make you family. And the sad thing about it is that, you have strangers off the street that you barely know.
Yep.
Would treat you so much better.
Yes, sir.
Than the people you've known all your life. I never understood that dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a dynamic nonetheless.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to commend you for, you speaking the truth and putting it out there. Because, that's a tough pill, but that's very courageous what you did.
Appreciate it.
Because I always say, don't hold it in. Let it out. If people are going to be upset, let them be upset.
Exactly.
Because the problem is people want to hide from the truth. Or they don't want that truth to be exposed. That too.
Mm-hmm.
And, people know what they did. And they know what they didn't do. I just say, live with it. Live with the consequence. Live with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. But I will tell you, you keep your head up and you remain strong. Because that took a lot of strength and courage to do what you did just now.
I agree.
And I tip my hat to you. I commend you. And I think that, we all have to we have to be honest with ourselves. We really do. We have to be honest with ourselves and be okay with the fallout and with the consequences that may occur.
Yes, sir.
Not death sentence. And sometimes you have to make tough decisions when it comes to family and things like that. Who you deal with and who you don't deal with. Because there's not a lot of saying that you have to deal with these people.
Mm-hmm.
You just associated by blood. But you're not obligated to these people.
You're not joined at the hip.
Nope.
Yeah. And always, and anybody that's listening, always keep that in mind. Always keep that in mind. That you don't owe anybody anything. I don't care if they're your family or not. Because those be the biggest killers right there, is your own family. Yeah, your own family members. They'll take you down faster than a stranger out there in the street.
Yes, sir.
And if I'm lying, I want anybody to tell me I'm lying. I'll accept it.
Oh, no, so you're absolutely right, Roman. And the reason for that being is because, think about it, depending if your own family that probably knows more about you than anyone else. They know backstories. They have details, that possibly others might not be privy to. And the part that gets me is rather than try to be uplifting and be of assistance, and possibly what may hurt this family member or whatever, you don't want to use your power for good. You want to tear down and you want to destroy. Why? Because you have some self issues or whatever that you need to work on.
Yeah.
What do you have to gain? Because me being the type of person that I am, I'm gonna look out for my family, but not if you're gonna constantly kick dirt in my face. For what? Please help me understand that. Tell me how that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yet, the same ones that have kicked dirt in your face, trust and believe you, baby. Don't let your fool around and become successful. Don't let your fool around and you be all over the internet. You be in magazines and doing interviews and you on TV and such. These same ones that kick dirt in your face, raising all kinds of hell and foolishness, be the same. That's my cousin. Security. Security gonna come, please. I don't know the person. Come get him. No. About the most that you, what's the word here? About the most that you've donated to this situation.
Yeah.
It caused me to take a good hard look at myself. And I had to come to grips with what I was dealing with internally. And I had to figure out how to get healed.
Yeah.
So for that, I say thank you, and that's where it stops.
Yep. See, and I didn't want to. This is not a tear down, but just to show, like Grown Man and SD said, talking about blood only makes you related. That's whole true, because I'll never forget. Like I said, I'm still working through some stuff, but I'm 17 years old at the time. I'm in a relationship. My, flesh and blood. Me and this girl was about to get married after high school. This is way before Mrs. Sutton. And while I'm outside barbecuing, she's supposed to be in there helping my mom and stuff, get the sides and stuff ready. But yet, her and my cousin up in the house knocking boots. I'm talking about my mama's brother's son.
Yeah, that was...
It is with my girlfriend at the time. And because of that situation, he had to go. So I'm over, and this is before my grandparents passed. I'm outside playing by myself, minding my own business. Her baby brother and the oldest grandchild, because he's supposed to be a bad dude, he was supposed to be a boxer. They told him, hey, go beat him up, jump on him, kick his behind. He found out that fat people can actually fight. I'm not saying...
there's a lot of things you can do.
Exactly.
That's just part of it. Come on now.
I'm not saying I did it. I'm just saying somehow my cousin found himself through 13 windows of my grandparents' house. Which...
And he survived?
Yeah, he alive. He had a few cuts and bruises.
Okay.
Which, here was the killing part. Because the house was... my grandparents' house was owned by some relatives of mine. I got banned from coming to my grandparents' house for a year, maybe a bit. It was over 2 years, but I know for a fact it was more than a year. I wasn't allowed to go over there.
You know what? You know what? I'm hearing what you're saying, and it's registered, but you just lost me. So let us get this straight. Let me clarify for those that may have missed this or stepped away for a second. So basically, what you're telling me is that at a family function, young lady that you know were possibly going to tie the knots with or whatever, at this cookout and such.
Yep.
You outside minding your business. She's supposed to be in the house helping your mom with the sides and everything, but instead she was helping herself to your cousin.
Yep.
And then because more or less like natural reaction, if you will, you decided to toss him through several glass windows in the house and everything. You get banned?
Yes, ma'am.
So other than the cuts and, so other than the cuts and bruises that he sustained, that's the only thing that happened to him.
Actually, they took him. They wound up taking him to Walt Disney World, the one in Florida, for Christmas that year. If I do remember.
I know you're not telling me that he was rewarded with a trip to Walt Disney World.
And me.
That's what it sounds like to me.
And I was not allowed to go.
You know what?
Wow. Amazing.
Oh, did I mention he was also given $500 on top of it with a brand new stereo?
I guess they had it out. It sounded like the family had it out for you.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And he was basically the agent.
But see, this is what certain family members do, like, for years. And this,
please explain. I can't wait to hear this. Please.
For years, my sister and I could not get along, and it was because we had certain family members that thought it was a good idea to pin her and me against each other. Oh, well, she looked like your mama. You look like your daddy. She better at this than you. Dude, we're a whole decade apart. Of course it's going to be things. Hello, we're a decade apart. Guess there are going to be things that she's going to be better at than me. She's a whole 10 years older than me. It was not until a situation occurred on social media and she called me and her and I had a heart-to-heart talk that it ain't no devil in hell that could separate me and that child now.
Yeah.
And I literally mean ain't no devil in hell that can separate that child and I. But it's a shame how families don't like to see other family members be close or be cool. So they'll do anything that they can to cause division.
Man, you remember this one? They got mad at you because they said ever since I married you, I started acting different.
And I did a whole Facebook Live post and I stand by what I said. While they sat up there and blamed me, I was the one who petitioned the court for them to even be invited to the wedding, or for them not to show up or go to the wrong church to be candidates of baptism. And then y'all want to blame me for him not coming around, when the truth of the fact of the matter is I ain't had nothing to do with that. He ain't like them in the first place. I tried to bridge a gap, and y'all divided it further by not showing up to the wedding.
Now, I'm going to put this out there. Now, here's the killer part, because I was surprised about this. The same day that everybody found out that me and her got engaged, unto my knowledge, we took a road trip. About 15 minutes away from the house to my uncle's house.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
The uncle with the son who slept with my ex. Now, I didn't know we was going there. So,
It's a setup, people. It's a setup.
I was cordial.
Oh, but he walked around in a
but
complete circle
yeah.
like I was a dog in the ring looking me up and down.
Yeah. So we talked, and right before we go, now everybody knows that I'm not a smoker or a drinker. However, I know what's what, even though I'm not in the street life.
Okay.
That still pissed me off.
That the illegal plant dip in embalming fluid. Why people want to smoke something that you put in dead people will never make sense to me, but whatever. Came around, reached behind me, and snuck me with it. And she will tell you, I was out for an hour.
He stuck it up his nose.
It knocked me out, and literally, I made it.
Do you associate with these people?
No.
I made it in the back of the van. And after I made it into the van, I was out cold.
I'm just grateful that didn't take you out of here.
Come on.
Yeah, because I didn't know what happened. And she told me that she had been trying to wake me up for a minute. But I was out cold.
Good thing I was able to keep an eye on you.
It knocked me out like literally. It was a old school Mike Tyson hit. There's a reason why they called him the baddest boxer, because he usually knocked people out within the first 5 rounds.
Right.
And I was KO'd. This wasn't no love TKO. This was a straight knockout.
Wow.
And the thing about it was like I said,
and I was sick, the rest of that week?
No, you wouldn't.
But I had issues for a minute.
Okay.
Well, at least the next 24 hours. I remember that much.
You were okay after a day. And it wasn't dipped in a embalming fluid, what he actually did. And I still don't understand why people, I have never been a fan of marijuana. I don't understand the logistics of it.
Okay.
But because it's a plant, people find all kind of creative ways.
God made the plant and you just need to set it on fire. I'm still trying to figure that out.
But Jack Williams said that in one of his comedy routines or whatever. He said, more or less like he said, marijuana is a plant, and if you just so happen to set a fire to it, it just happens to burn that way. He said, however, there are other things out here, that are not man-made. I mean, they're man-made versus being natural. He said, now, you got to mix up stuff to make okay. He said, I don't know the recipe. He said, but I know it's not a plant that I could go out in my backyard and go pick some. Like, okay. And I'm not going to lie. I laughed at it. I thought it was funny, so I'm like, okay, but that's just me. I'm
right.
Silly.
I mean, but that's the truth is but it was actually a marijuana ball. And because it's a plant, it's digestible. So he thought, and like I said, if I would have saw it, that would never would happen. But he did it so quick, and because our natural reaction is to inhale, that's what happened. When he stuck it up his nose, instead of blowing it out, he inhaled. But it was it's another quick way for someone to get high. People eat marijuana. People
cook with it.
Cook it, eat it, smoke it, sniff it. But thank God he was just high. But again, anybody who does not do that kind of things, it don't take much for a person to get high who ain't never smoked weed a day in their life.
Exactly.
So therefore,
you don't have a tolerance for it.
Exactly. He ain't had no tolerance for nothing. And he was okay the next day, even though he was still a little loopy. But the fact of the matter is, he has a virgin system. Why would you do something like that? But that's this thing called family dynamics. People don't want, and that's what I mean. That whole, I hate that saying, "Oh, what goes on in my house stays in my house," and to me, it's an excuse to get away with doing underhanded things.
And to allow the foolishness to continue and not break that vicious cycle.
Exactly. Which is why I chose to heal before having children. Because people don't understand how the cycle perpetuates itself.
Yeah, I went through that with the suicide thoughts and the depression underneath that household for a betterment of 3 decades. Let that sink in.
Exactly. And
over 30 years. Forget it. Let's take off 10. Over 20 years, you had me in such a state of depression that I tried to kill myself. And
Right.
I literally, I kid you not. I tried different pills. I could drink a 24 pack of Red Bull in under 4 minutes.
Dude, you trying to kill yourself for real, for real.
I was, when I tell you I was on a suicide mission, I was mixing Monsters, Red Bull, and I don't know if they still make this drink called Blue Demon. It was an energy drink. I was mixing everything.
I remember those.
Yep.
No.
That wasn't working. So then I tried to hang myself in our basement. Well, because I'm a pretty tall dude, the rope broke and it wound up
It went
irritating.
against you.
Yeah, it wound up irritating my whole soul.
gravity was
Yeah.
not your friend.
No, gravity was definitely not my friend. And then I was getting ready to blow my head off, and my mother woke up in the middle of the night because I was sitting there with it on the side of the chair that I was sitting in. And I was thinking about, my baby girl, my future. I didn't want to live because he caused me so much trauma. He, just to put it in perspective where I was, he would get me in front of a group of women, whether we driving down the street, and basically call me a homosexual. He would come up to my job where I was working at, and my coworkers told my wife this and demanded that I give the money to him so he can do what he needed to do. And if I'm not ready by the time he get back, then I will have to walk back to the house. Now, keep in mind, that walk would have been for those that stay in Ohio, from Northfield all the way to, basically 55th and Broadway.
What?
Where we were staying at the time,
Wow.
that would be the complete distance.
Yeah, that would at least been a good 3-hour walk.
Yeah. Because literally, literally, because I would have had to do one or two things. Either take Northfield, walk up from Northfield to Miles, and then go straight down to the house, or walk straight down Granger. Either way, I would have still wound up on Broadway. But if I had took Granger, I would have had to walk through Garfield Park.
So, you guys,
That's sad.
the whole message to this is protect your peace. Blood does not make you family. But holding on to past hurt doesn't help you grow either.
Which I did, because it wasn't until I got pulled aside that I found out that the trauma that I suffered in that house was hurting my relationship with you. And I had to apologize for that, because you didn't put me in a state of depression to the point that I would try to kill myself. Actually, I've never been more happier in my life since being with you.
Oh, I love you too, boo-boo.
And like I said, you gave me these two. Like I said, I love Grown Man and SD.
Well, actually, I gave you SD. Grown Man was given to both of us by SD.
That's not the point.
But that was the family dynamic.
Anywho, you know, they've always been there. And like I said, when I sit down at a steakhouse to eat, they're going to be eating too. Because I didn't create this platform for me. This platform is about us. This is where we can come together and talk about the stuff that they only gonna talk about in barbershops and beauty salons. Because nobody has the guts, the galls, or the cojones to talk about it on air for afraid of offending somebody.
I ain't never had no necessary problem with offending people. I've just learned to choose my words. And like I said, God gave me an assignment, and I'm going to see it through. And I thank God for the opportunity to heal, because that's basically what we've been talking about. Mm-hmm. Family dynamics that has caused all of us in some way to be hurt, depressed, lonely, whatever. But we can choose from this day forward not to be a victim of past due circumstances.
Yep.
Okay. I agree.
Exactly.
And like I always say, therapy is the greatest thing going.
Yes, Lord.
Because honestly, I don't know where I would be without you guys.
God first, baby.
Oh, most deaf.
So, as we always say, we pray that this episode in one of our stories, hopefully you guys were able to connect to it and truly understand that you don't have to perpetuate the cycle. That you're not alone. Depression is real. Stress is real. Suicide is real. But that is people who love you, who want the best for you.
And please, guys, I want to make sure I say this, because I'm a huge advocate, and I'm pretty sure at some point I'll be speaking about this in a much more public platform. If you are in that state right now where I've been at for a betterment of 3 decades, please reach out and talk to someone. It doesn't hurt, because the people in your circle might not care, but I care, because I've been there. And I know what it feels like to be hurt and made fun of and all that stuff. I got so depressed, man, I turned to food and snack cakes. But I'm going to end this with this. My 3 amigos, this is the Gotham City crew. And from us, the Gotham City crew, you already know the show is After Effects. And as Mrs. Sutton has already decided to change the program title, This is the Family Dynamics. We'll see you on the next episode.
Peace.